on, gang. It's time to solve a mystery. So join the hunters of mystery and let's solve the mysteries of the Bible together. Now, we're starting Revelation 4, 2, 3, and 4. Let's begin. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne, and he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was rainbow round about the throne, and sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. Okay, God, help us to listen as we study your word. And I pray, God, that you forgive us for any iniquity, any foolishness in our part, any rebellion, any disobedience. Wash those sins away with your blood. And please give us ears to hear and eyes to see, and help us to listen and speak to our spirits and make your word real to us. We want to feed off your word. Now, a little backdrop story. We're reading Revelation 4, but in the first chapter, we saw John on the island of Patmos, where Jesus spoke behind him. He looked around and saw him with 7 stars in his hand, and he walked amidst 7 candlesticks, and Jesus explained the 7 candlesticks are the 7 churches, 7 stars are the 7 angels that govern the 7 churches. Then in the second 2 chapters, Jesus tells John to write to 7 churches and what to write in them to the 7 churches. Some things he was happy about, some things he weren't happy about. He was correcting some things in the church, while other things he was applauding and encouraging more of. And in Revelation 4, he saw a door open, a trumpet, a voice like a trumpet, telling him to come up hither, and he went up. It was this the spirit, or both physical and spiritual. We don't know. We can only surmise. And then it says, immediately I was in the Spirit, means the Spirit was in control of him. And behold, a throne. He saw a throne set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. Who was that? God. Who was sat on the throne? God. Immediately, and he that was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne. Okay, he says that he was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone, meaning God looked like a precious stone, meaning he was, the best way to describe it was, if you watch crystal under the light, it looks beautiful as you could see through it, but yet also reflected the light in all directions, and sometimes you can see the rainbow through this crystal because it was reflecting the light. It was reflecting white light, and it becomes all these different colors. The point is basically he was saying that God was like a jasper, a sardine stone, a big giant transparent stone they could see through, but also was reflecting and shining all this bright light, which also means you can see the rainbow through it as well. Because again, if you look at crystal, it reflects light, and if you look at it a certain way, you can see even the reflection of a rainbow, because all light, all different colors come from white light. And so basically, he is transparent. Apparently, the way that John compares him, God is transparent. Literally, you can see through him like he's transparent. He's also shines light in all direction, including the rainbow. And he said there's a rainbow round about the throne, which makes sense because why? He's like a precious stone that shines all these different lights. And actually, so I think about it, back when Moses and the elders went up to the mountain to see God on Mount Sinai, the Bible says they could see this precious stones underneath his feet. You go read it. There were precious stones underneath his feet. Also, the Bible talks about how the high priests were required to wear this breastplate with all these jewels on there. So that shows you that God values precious stones and he is a precious stone. And you think about that, maybe also his way of saying, I am more precious to, I'm actually more precious to you than anything in the world. I am your precious stone. I am your everything. And because why? Remember, he talked about how a man found a treasure, sold all they had, and we buried it. He found a treasure, we buried it, and went out and sold everything he had to go buy the land that treasure on, so he could have the treasure for himself. And another story where a guy sold all they had to buy a precious pearl. The fact that he looks like a jasper, a sardine stone, which is really a transparent stone, means God's saying, I'm your most precious thing in the world. I'm your everything. I should be worth giving up for. And that also means we should be able to give up everything for him, because why? He's more precious to us than anything else in this world, in his life. It's really fascinating to think about it. And it says, in sight like unto an emerald. So he looks like an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats, and upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. Now, who are these 24 elders? Some people believe that's the 12 patriarchs in the Old Testament, the sons of Jacob, and the 12 apostles on the New Testament, which I do not challenge. I think there's probably truth to that. But back to the main course of the meal. And he was looked upon like a jasper or sardine stone, and there was a rainbow running about his throne in sight like unto an emerald. So if you look at it, literally both him and his throne were basically one giant precious stone, looked like precious stone, transparent and shining light in all direction. That's why he is our everything. He's more precious. He should be more precious to us than anything else in our own families, but also where he wants to take us in life, will become like him, a precious stone. Why? Precious stones are transparent and they shine light. When you shine light on this the precious stone, it reflects it. It looks absolutely beautiful. So we should be transparent. You see no flaws in us, but also at the same time reflect the glory of God. That's where he's trying to take Christians in general. Remember the Ark of the Covenant. First it was wood, then it was covered in gold. He's trying to take us from being broken vessels, break us, make us into new vessels, cover us in gold, and put little precious jewels around us. Or, and then we could argue we were coal. He wants to reshape, he wants to, through heat and pressure, transform us into precious jewels. That's fascinating. God bless. I hope you enjoyed that.